So what we're going to be doing is testing for phosphates and nitrates to assess the ecological state of the river. We're on the river in Henley. We're actually at the mile mark of the regatta course. I'm going to put a pair of gloves on. We have to observe very good hygiene because if we are touching a water body with E. coli in, we don't want to be catching E. coli. So I've got a beaker on the end of a metal pole. You don't need to go this far. You can actually use an empty milk bottle which has been washed out, or a bucket to get the sample. We have to rinse this out a couple of times, just minimising cross-contamination. We've got these little Earthwatch test kits which we use for testing for phosphates and nitrates. So what we have is a little sample pot, and this enables us to get the same amount of water for testing every time we do a test. Then we get our little test kit, squeeze out the air from this, and then what we do is we suck this up and then give it a shake. Once the samples have reached their time limit, we're able to compare the colour of the sample to this chart, so we can then basically say what levels of phosphate and nitrates there are in the river. So we're at 5 minutes for the phosphates. What we can see is actually it's pretty low today. That's 0.1. Depending on time of year and what's going on, we've seen up to 1. So we've seen some very high readings here. We see changes on a daily, weekly, hourly basis. So keeping track of those changes is really important as well. After taking the test, what we do is we upload the results to an app, and it's sort of easy to do on the riverside. The reason you do it here is often by the time you get home, you've kind of forgotten what's going on. It's good to do when it's sort of fresh in your mind. Collecting the data is absolutely critical because it means that you can build a bigger picture as to what is going on. I really like the idea that people are uploading this information into the public domain because, you know, you never know who's going to want access to that information and use that information. When choosing where to test, it's really important to find somewhere where it's safe to take the test as well. And, you know, really importantly, just keep an eye on what the river's doing as well. If the river is in full flood and there's a torrent, just don't go near it, don't do your test. Safety-wise, it's really important to clean everything in between testing, so the beakers and anything that you're using from a kind of test kit point of view. After you've kind of done a test, it's important to use things like anti-bac to wash your hands off, just to kind of ensure that your hands are clean. I think citizen science is incredibly important because it's filling a gap that exists, that people don't really understand what's going on in the river and what is happening in the river. Citizen science is a way of plugging that gap. Our rivers need a voice. They need a voice which is objective and reasonable, and we found that science is a really good way of doing it. There is no reason not to do this, basically. If you've got the time, you've got a suitable piece of river, you're really passionate about the river, why not do it?